Today we're reviewing Red Cathedral from Devir Games. I'm Mark Maya. Welcome to Board Game Coffee.
Vincent, get back here this instant!
Thank you. Oh, I love you too. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you.
Red Cathedral is a competitive 2 to 4 player resource management Euro where players try to impress their boss, Ivan the Terrible, by showing up everyone else they work with.
Here you go, sir. Here's all the registrations you asked for filed and accounted for. I've even taken the liberty of color coding the sections pertaining to yesterday's kerfuffle with the B team. And I had flowers sent to your lovely wife for her birthday.
In Red Cathedral, you and your fellow players take on the role of architects working on St. Basil's Cathedral, a structure honoring Mr. Terrible's military victories, and a great place to throw birthday parties for the kiddies. Now, although everyone at the table is contributing to this Tower of Terror, it's not what you would call a hospitable work environment.
You're a dick.
In Red Cathedral, players call dibs on different parts of the cathedral by setting up their color-coded scaffolding on one of these cards here, starting from the bottom and working their way up. Now, although you might be the one to lay down the initial groundwork for a particular section of the cathedral, chances are someone else is going to swoop in there and set up shop right above you. And if they finish their section before you do, it's gonna make you look bad in front of the boss, which is, it's gonna cost you some valuable prestige.
Prestige? What's that?
Glad you asked. Prestige is one of the 2 types of points that you can earn in Red Cathedral. You see these 2-headed golden pheasants? That's prestige, and these numbers in between represent your recognition. When you start a game of Red Cathedral, earning 1 point of prestige is like 4 or 5 points of recognition. But as the game goes on, they eventually line up so that there's no difference between a prestige point or a recognition point. And I gotta say, I'm a fan of the 2-point system. It adds another layer of consideration when determining my next course of action. Yes, going for the prestige early on in the game might seem like the best and most obvious option, but timing is everything. Let me explain. Throughout your game, you're inevitably going to take an action that's going to earn you a few recognition points. But here's the thing. When you earn 1 point of prestige, you move ahead to the next available prestige marker. So from here, that's great because that moves you up a bunch of spaces on the point track. And that feels good, right? Moving all that way, leaving the competition in the dust. Look at them. Just a bunch of suckers toiling away for 1 measly recognition point.
Hey!
But it's not always like that because, as I mentioned earlier, timing is key. If you earn yourself a prestige point while you're sitting here on the track just behind this prestige marker, well then all your extra effort isn't going to earn you anything more than a single recognition point would. And if that's the case, why even bother? Might as well be rolling around in the mud with these peasants.
You do know we're here, right?
Now, although this does seem like a waste of your point earning potential, the more crafty players among you will see this as an opportunity to make the most out of a crappy situation and cash out. You see, one of the abilities you have available to you is the ability to move your point marker back to the next closest prestige marker in exchange for 2 rubles. So if you're sitting behind a prestige marker and you know you have some prestige coming your way, then just move back, cash out, then take your point and move right back up again. Such a clever little mechanic. The marketplace is where players go to collect the resources required to construct the cathedral. But you can't just go up to a location and buy whatever you want. Oh no, not in this marketplace. In this marketplace, the dice are your crossing guards.
What?
You know, because they tell you where you can go.
That's not what a crossing guard does.
Well, what am I thinking of?
I don't know, a tour guide?
No, I don't think that's it.
Oh, for the love of God, just let it go.
The marketplace is broken up into these pizza slices, which offer up different materials. And to collect them, all you gotta do is walk on in. Come on, go ahead. Do it, if you can. You see, when it comes to accessing these locations, you're at the mercy of the dice. To move from one location to another, you're gonna have to pick a die and then move the number of spaces as the number displayed on its face. Where you land is what you get. So if you want wood, bricks, or maybe even a little gold to add some decorative flair to your cathedral work, you're gonna need a die that can get you there. It's kind of like trying to find the right bus that'll get you to the Home Depot. Now, I'm a big fan of this ride the die system, and if you play it right, it gets even better. If you arrive at your intended destination and there's already a die there, you get twice as much stuff. And if there's 2 dice when you arrive, you get 3 times the stuff. That's so much stuff. And if you can land those 2 for 1, even 3 for 1 moments, it feels pretty awesome. Like getting in on a killer limited time offer at Mattress World where they throw in the box spring at no extra charge. It's a mechanic that flirts at the edge of frustration, but never quite takes the leap. In the market, you'll also find these fine people lurking in the corners, offering goods and favors for a fair price or trade. Hell, some like the clergy will give you free points just for showing up. Isn't that just like the clergy? They allow you to do things like trade materials or swap market spaces or even ship materials over to the cathedral, just to name a few. You get more than just these 4 little helpful favor dealers in the box, so you can change it up from game to game, although admittedly they don't feel all that different once they're in game. I mean, they are different, but the difference seems so small. I like them, but I would have preferred a little bit more variety. Okay, so you've been to the market, and now you've come home with an armload of supplies. What now? This is your workshop, and not only does it provide storage for all the goodies that you brought home from the market, but it's got this cool little feature wherein for a small price you can store these tiles that you pilfered from the cathedral. Not exactly what I'd call an honest day's work, but what are you gonna do? Now, what's cool about it is that each of these spaces are associated with one of the dies from the market. So, for example, if I use this yellow die, I would score myself some bonus gold in addition to whatever material the yellow die landed on. Or maybe I'll use the green die and get myself some extra wood. This bonus reward system adds another layer of consideration when determining which die you want to use at the market. Although I'm not convinced it's a consideration worth considering all that often. Don't get me wrong, I like that mechanic, and I love that feeling it gives me when it triggers. Because I'm all like, yeah, I wanted gold, but I got wood too. Like, woohoo! And when those moments happen, it's kind of like a mini lottery, or more accurately, like winning a draw at the county fair. But either way, it feels good. But it's rarely ever the driving force behind my marketing decisions. And maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe I should just be happy with the fact that sometimes my material needs line up with the bonuses of my workshop and leave it at that. Now, before I head into my final thoughts, I want to circle back to the Red Cathedral itself. Working on this thing just stresses me out, man. It's just so cutthroat. You gotta worry about people finishing parts of the cathedral above you because if they do, you lose points. And if you're not keeping an eye on everyone at all times, some parasite is bound to swoop in and pitch a cross at the tip of the tower that you've been slaving your ass off to complete and deny you your rightful prestige. Not to mention, scoring is based on how much you contributed to a specific tower within the cathedral. So you always gotta keep one eye on the prize and the other on the conniving jackasses you're playing with.
Why do we even come here?
Okay, here we go. Final thoughts. The great thing about Red Cathedral is how easy it is to learn. They did a great job on this rulebook, and the gameplay examples in this thing are spot on. They weren't overly wordy, and they were focused and targeted every question I had. Well done. I enjoyed the process of watching the competition and trying to figure out their next move and then concocting new methods of getting in their way. Although that said, sitting at the wrong spot at the table can really ruin your game. If all players aren't playing at the same skill level, a weaker player could be feeding points to the player on their left, which really screws with the results of the score. Sure, that could be said about a lot of games, but I really felt it in this one, and it was really frustrating to watch. Okay, let's end this review on two major points that have had some serious sway on my opinion one way or another. First, there are plenty of setup variations that change up your experience from one game to the next, such as different cathedral layouts, workshop tile placement, the option of playing with a basic workshop versus an advanced workshop. Hell, even the entire market area is randomly assembled each time you play. But yet, after 4, maybe 5 plays, it all started to feel kind of samey. Don't get me wrong, the differences are nice, but it's more like comparing the different sprinkle distribution between donuts than it is a new gaming experience. I never really thought that the new randomly generated layout of a game required me to adjust or change my gameplay strategy in any significant way. Now, the second thing of my two major points is this. I can pre-order this game right now for $32.95 Canadian. Now, bringing up cost in a review is not something I do often because everyone's financial situation is different, as is the individual value that each of us put on our entertainment. But that is a fantastic price for this game. Yeah, sure, I got my gripes, but the money you put in versus all the great gameplay you get out is an amazing value, which can easily bear the weight of my criticisms. Oh, and I almost forgot. And it comes in a small box. Now, I don't know about you, but my collection is seriously lacking in euros that I can travel with, and this is definitely one I will be tossing into my backpack. Red Cathedral is a good game, and at this price, I'd even call it great. If you like euros, better yet, euros that are easy to learn and come in small packages, you need to check out Red Cathedral. It's a lot for a little, and it's very much worth it. Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.